We stayed up for that. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers postgame show live from the Xfinity Mobile Studio along with Derek Kyle. I'm Devon Bree, President of Basketball Operations. All of you in the chat, we thank you for hanging out with us. We are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I was eating chips, and I really would have come on camera if we didn't have the stuff to jump into the show to eat my chips as we were getting ready to start things.
Devon, you know what? Before we were about to start the show, I almost said I just saw a thing today or within the last couple of days from I guess one of the first things that Mr. Beast went viral for was counting to, I think it was 100,000. Like that's all he did was stare at the camera and count. And I half had the mind to be like, should we just do that for the post-game show? Just see how high we can count in an hour? Because it'd be about as productive as the Sixers were tonight.
Yeah, wasn't good at all. We'll get to the Togo unsung hero a little bit later, player of the game as well. Sixth in the road trip with a 3-2 record. And it's disappointing just because of competing against the Los Angeles Lakers, blowing that lead the way that they did. No Embiid and Grimes tonight. Same thing for Barlow. And while we thought, you know what, this might not be that much of a game because of what they would have available to them, they were up by 1 at the break. And it really looked like, okay, well, maybe they might be able to steal this one and make it a game in the fourth quarter to give themselves a chance. And Kyle, that third quarter, once again, it continues to strike. We try to get away from it because it feels like, all right, it's the third quarter. It happens, all of that. But we're 53 games into the season now. That's no longer a trend. It's just a thing that is a part of what the Sixers season is. They give up 49 points to the Portland Trail Blazers, and they're leaving a wide open threes. Derek mentioned it in the pregame of how they get up the amount of threes that they do. Toumani Camara drops 8. Should have made that the Bet365 pick of, hey, he's going to hit 4 or 5 threes. Instead, he hits 8, a career high. And the third quarter just busted the game wide open. And there you have it. That's the game. It was a stinker.
It really sucks because for the first quarter and a half of that game, I mean, you could say 2 quarters because they went into halftime up by 1. But the first quarter and a half or so, they played really well, like pretty good. Like very good on offense, not the greatest defense, but I thought they were at least connected and they're making attempts to rebound the ball. They were able to keep Maxey out of the game in the second quarter until I think the 4.5-minute mark because they were so successful with that group with VJ at point and who else was on the floor with them? I guess Justin, Kelly, Watford. And it's like, man, I didn't realize you were allowed to win minutes like this with just VJ running the show. And from that point onward, it really fell apart. And I honestly, there's not a lot to analyze for me before you say they just gave up in the third quarter. That was very clearly a team at the end of a road trip, missing a few of their most important players who they're in a tight game. Things start spiraling early in the third. Bad turnovers, bad Maxey, bad VJ shooting, and Portland just kept running and running and running. The Sixers decided they didn't want to do so. And then all the things that we talked about pregame that you just mentioned, Devon, got worse and worse and worse. They're getting killed on the offensive glass. So on the rare moment that the Blazers actually missed a 3, they got the offensive rebound. They recycled it. Around the horn it goes. Toumani Camara is still hitting threes as we speak. And so I'll say this. The effort annoys me, but I can understand it. I think what annoys me that is at least a semi-fixable thing, I don't understand how we're this far into the season and this coaching staff, roster, organization has not figured out that when guys start 5 of 6 from 3, I don't care what your scouting report said. I don't care what their percentages was. Maybe you should start guarding them a little differently. Like maybe you should try not helping away from guys like that. Maybe you should pay attention to them a little bit so that a guy like Camara does not then get up 4 or 5 more threes that are wide open because you're helping middle and you're so scared of.
Also, it's not like Camara's a non-shooter. Like, he launches 7 per game and makes 35% of them. Like, he will make an open shot.
Right, and it's an example of what happened in the Cavs game with Tyson. Not quite as extreme because that was a little bit. They're trapping aggressively on Mitchell, and he gets going and has this monster game. But also, Tyson is not a non-shooter. He's a good shooter. So they're like, we're going to live with this good shooter killing us. I don't understand how this keeps happening with no thought to adjust. Like, all right, we'll send less help and we'll live with, if Deni is going to get downhill and score at the rim, okay, we'll trade the 2s for 3s. Instead, they constantly are losing the math battle. So even when their offense is humming and playing well, a lot of times teams are getting back into games because they just get up more 3s than the Sixers do. And then they allow guys who are absolutely rolling to step into practice shots over and over again. So that's a trend that I can't stand. I can't stand watching it anymore. It feels like there is no responsiveness to what's happening on the floor. And I understand we've probably had 100 different versions of the conversation. Like, where's the line between being reactive and adjusting to what's on the floor? And a lot of coaches skew conservative. They say, this is how we wanted to play it coming in. This is how we view this guy, etc. But there are only so many times you can let a role player absolutely destroy you from 3 before you say, and maybe we need to adjust in the second half how we're defending certain shooters and certain teams, because it clearly ain't working the way they're going about it.
There was a stretch in the third quarter that just absolutely broke me. And like, all right, Avdija gets a wide open 3 off rebound. Like, nobody even making an effort to get back. Then he gets a backdoor cut off a clean and bounce pass. And then the one that really, really, really broke me is when Avdija got his own rebound, walked back into a 3, was wide open, and nobody even made an attempt to close out. Like, he got his own rebound off of a missed free throw and just walked into a wide open 3. And it's like, all right, they don't care anymore.
Awful.
They don't care about this game. It was a truly, because look, it's one thing to have a shooting variance game. That's going to happen. Portland is a bad 3-point shooting team, worst percentage-wise in the league coming into the game. But when you give teams off of offensive rebounds shoot an incredible percentage almost across the board because they're almost always open. And when you get beaten to every loose ball, every floorboard, and you make no effort to recover back out to them, it's one thing to say, like, hey, tip your cap, they made 41% of their 3s. As I think I just died. It's one thing to say, hey, they made 41% of their 3s. The reason they got 54 wide open ones, they're going to make more than their season-long percentages. It's just going to happen.
And they were wide open. I mean, wide open. Teeing them up, practice shots. These are ones that they're preparing for pregame where they're just going through their shooting drills, wide open. And Kyle, you mentioned he started 5 for 6. That was the number at the half. Sixers lead by 1. He's 3 for 4 in that quarter, and he just starts rolling. And again, they're still wide open. How are you not finding him? 4 for 5 from the floor overall in 10 minutes and 3 for 4 from behind the 3-point line. They were wide open. And the last one that he missed, he was wide open. He just happened to miss it before he was subbed out of the game. And it was that just despicable. And the fact that you guys talked about in the pregame of how they get so many of those up. Jeremy Grant's firing them off. Camara's firing them off. Deni Avdija is firing them off. Klingon knocks down his first 3 from behind the 3-point line as well. And I was surprised that the Sixers were still up by 1 going into the halftime, just because of while they made that furious comeback, the 3-pointers are what got Portland back into the game, and just not identifying. Okay, the scouting report may say one thing, which it still should say, as you guys said, this guy will take 3s. The scouting report changes in the game based on how they are falling, and they were falling, and they just did absolutely nothing about it. But we also talked about this in the beginning of the night, that these games sometimes will go one or two ways. You get blown out, or you win, you're competitive and you might win that game in the getaway game. They were clearly, once the guys were out, they were looking at the airplane and ready to get on the airplane and head back home after almost 10 nights on the road to come back to Philadelphia. And that's not an excuse. That's just saying that was their way. As Kyle, you said, they just wound up quitting out there on the floor. That's exactly what they did. They were being hit by a barrage of threes, their own fault. They were being hit by that barrage, and they just decided, you know what? This was a good enough road trip for us. Let's get ready to head back home, and let's get this over with. So just terrible way to end it. And it stinks because they were having it. They had a good trip, all things considered, with a 3-2 record. They had a good trip. But you want to see, as we talked about, the effort continue to play out no matter what is happening on the floor. Keep fighting. And sure, the reserves came in, they did their part, and we'll talk about some later, but you wanted to see those guys keep going out there on the floor to give themselves a chance, and they just did not do that tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of the reserves a little bit, Devon, I look at that game and I say, what is Kyle Lowry bringing to that game? And I'm not even trying to – I don't think he actually played poorly individually, right? But how is Kyle Lowry an answer to a game where you're getting absolutely pasted on the glass and then they're just killing you on threes, on offensive rebounds, and killing you in transition where it's a track meet? Like, nothing about that game screamed, you know what we need in here with the second unit, or even with the first unit when they were trying to make an emergency sub early in that second half as things are going awry? The 6-foot, 39-year-old guy. Like, there's just Lowry was fine. He didn't take anything off the table, but he didn't bring anything to it either. So some of that is they didn't have enough guys available. Some of it is like, dude, just put the athletes on the floor and see if you can do. I don't care what it looks like at that point. If you can't score, you can't score. It's going to happen on a night like tonight. I will also say, for a guy who is supposed to be like one of the greatest rebounders of all time, Andre Drummond might be the least impactful high rebound player in the history of basketball. I can't stand watching this guy just stand there with his hands up, and he's big enough that's a pretty big catch radius. But if you ask him to jump for an out of area rebound, if he's got to fight with anybody for the ball and like really secure it, those things are bouncing off his hands. They're bouncing out of bounds. They're bouncing to other people. And like, I would say, what percentage of Drummond's value to this team or his existence on this team comes down to he's supposed to be a rebounder? Is it 75%? Is it lower than that? Is it higher than that? But that's kind of his whole case to be an NBA player at this point. He's not an offensive weapon, although he did hit another one of those corner threes tonight, of course. He's not a guy who is a big time rim protector. He doesn't defend in space. He needs to end possessions. And he's just not as good at it as he needs to be. And on a night like tonight, where that's the major thing that swung the game, he is just absolutely useless. And I'll go to another guy who didn't play. I don't blame him for this. Janai Broome doesn't play in that game until genuine garbage time. Like 3 minutes left, 4 minutes left, the game is over. If you are getting absolutely killed on the glass to the extent that you are, and there is a power forward / big man whose entire thing for his whole life has been rebounding the basketball, and you don't look down the bench, see him in a game like tonight and say, I'm putting him in, why is he on the roster? Why draft him? Why keep him on the team? Other than I know the answer, which is he was willing to take the contract that you were willing to offer a player with that second round pick. But it's a complete waste of a roster spot. Like, what's the point? I don't care if he can score 50 in the G League. If a situation that calls for a skill set comes up and you just look at him as like a non-entity, there's no point. What was the point? What was the plan? Where's the organizational alignment on that one?
Well, at least he's only 24, so he's a young rookie. Give him time.
Still has some time, man. Still has plenty of time to contribute to this team. Now, that one was ugly on the getaway game. Wish we were talking about it a little differently, but we're not. Final score 135-118, 49 points in the third quarter for the Portland Trailblazers. That was a season high for them. Just to run some of the numbers here quickly, They shot 16 for 26 from the floor, 8 for 15 from 3, 3 from Camara, 2 from Deni Avdija, 2 from Robert Williams, by the way, at the end of the quarter, in the corner from him, 9 for 11 from the foul line.
Back-to-back Time Lord threes is unbelievable. When that happened, I was like, can we just start the post-game show now? Like when you have that guy hit 2 back-to-back, back-to-back possessions, wasn't even like, he took 2 threes and made them both. Come on, man. What are we doing?
17-6 rebounding advantage in that third quarter, and the Sixers were 6 for 20 from the floor in the third. 49-22 was the score in the third quarter that broke the game wide open. Sixers fall in a big way, 135-118. When we come back, we'll get to the Togo unsung hero, talk about something maybe a positive that we saw tonight. Let us know in the chat, as always, who the unsung hero should be. We'll give you the player of the game as well. Sixers lose, blown out by the Blazers. We're talking about it right here. Final one of the late night PHLY Sixers postgame show.
Guys, we've told you all about the Wawa $5 big breakfast deal where you get a sizzly, I'm always eating my bacon, egg, and cheese, a hash brown, and any coffee, any size, hot or iced. But guess what? Wawa's making it even better. They now have $5 deals all day, and it makes it so much easier if you're on the move, if you have weird schedules like we do here covering sports teams. The value just keeps coming. Now they're giving you roasted chicken sandwiches or a crispy chicken sandwich created your way starting at $5. I love a pepper jack with buffalo sauce, salt, pepper, a little bit of lettuce. I'm good to go. But if you want to try something new, they've got a teriyaki new recipe for a limited time. And I've heard it's sweet. I've heard it's savory. Can't wait to try it myself at Wawa. So start your day strong or finish it strong by using one of their $5 deals. Limited time. Exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. You guys know it. Of course, you gotta have a Wawa.
Do we really want to see Tyrese Maxey playing the center position? Of course not. No, it's not worth the risk for the basketball team. And it's not worth it for you to waste your time or lose your money. And that's where Togo comes into play. You keep your stars focused on what they do best, and the same idea applies to your business. For small and mid-sized businesses, competing with bigger companies isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. With competition heating up, you can't afford to fall behind. AI, it goes way beyond ChatGPT, and it gets overwhelming fast. That's why Togo for you is important. Streamlines your operations by handling customer service, accounting, order management, logistics, admin, data entry, and even complex multi-step processes without the cost of building it all in-house. Every engagement starts with free process mapping, and Togo doesn't bill a dime until work begins. Programs start as low as $1,000 a month and are built to scale without breaking the bank. Visit Harness Togo, that's TOGO.com, and mention PHLY for a free operational assessment. Back here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show, 135-118 is the final score. Sixers get rocked tonight by the Portland Trailblazers. Embarrassed. This one from Corey in the super chat. We needed a gallon of Stumptown coffee or whatever they drink in PDX to get through that game.
So
any coffee? Well, no, Wawa's our coffee sponsor, obviously. Thank you, Wawa, for the coffee.
I just want to reference one thing you mentioned right before we went to the break. Portland had 13 second chance points in the third quarter. They only missed 10 shots. Like, they barely missed at all in the third quarter, and they somehow ended up with 13 second chance points, outscoring the Sixers in second chance points 13-4, despite the fact they shot 16 of 26 from the field in that quarter. That should never happen.
No, it should not. No, it should not. Let's get to the unsung hero. We have to do it. So we have the Togo unsung hero of the night, presented by Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work for you that gets in the way of your work. And tonight we give the honor to, let's go with MarJon Beauchamp. First time in the uniform for the Sixers, playing time in the uniform. Finished with 10, some garbage time points there at the end. Almost tried to yin-yang there with the poster. Finished with 10, 4, and 4. 3 steals in 20 minutes. Had missed one layup where Tyrese Maxey threw him an alley-oop. They were in transition. Should have made the layup. But a guy that we call for since he's been brought up and called up with the athleticism and all, being able to play the wing position, has some experience in the NBA. And Derek, what did you make of his first run as a Sixer?
Yeah, I mean, look, this was maybe the easiest unsung hero we've ever had to pick because, quite frankly, nobody deserved it. So give it to the kid making his team debut who actually gave them a little bit of spark. Look, I think his offense is, you're probably going to see a work in progress in the coming weeks if he continues to play. He is an NBA athlete. He's smooth. He changes direction quickly. He's explosive. Like, I think he has a lot of tools in that regard. Now we'll see whether or not his offense can come around. Certainly today, he hit that 3. He had a couple of decent passes, got out in the break. All great. We'll see what happens when he plays actual high leverage minutes, or at least more high leverage minutes. Like, his first points came, I think, in the third quarter, right? He scored pretty much all of his points when his game was pretty much out of hand. We'll see what happens when teams are actually locked in and dialed in. But like I said, he's an NBA athlete. He's got size. He's got the ability to cover ground. And Lord knows Nick needs that in his system.
I'll be honest. He's the player of the game for me, mostly because I'm irritated at the guys who are the more high leverage players. And I'm being half serious when I say I would convert him to a standard deal tomorrow if I were running the team, because I agree. That's an NBA level athlete right there. And I think more importantly, despite the fact that he's gotten very little time, which is to say no real time with these guys on the floor, I thought instinctually he found himself in the right spots pretty easily tonight and pretty consistently. Like, they're running zone offense. Portland throws a zone at them in the first half. And he was the guy who figured out somebody's got to get to the middle and be our guy who gets to the middle and play makes for the middle of that zone. Now, VJ Edgecombe had one of the most brutal top of the zone turnovers I think I've ever seen trying to get him the ball, but that's not MarJon's fault. That's more of a VJ thing. And I'm sure we'll get to him later. But the passing, I agree with Derek. There was the one in the first half where he threw very Ricky Council in San Antonio adjacent wrap pass right from under the rim, and he hits Andre Drummond in the corner for that corner 3. So I'll take a guy who is the level of athlete that he is, that I think was a pretty instinctive cutter tonight, made the 3, can certainly make a difference as a transition guy, although God bless him on that missed lob that Maxey threw him. I don't know who to blame. I'll have to go back and check the tape on that one. Yeah, I thought that was I think it could have been a better lob, but it also, you're at the rim. Finish it, my guy. So yeah, like, I think it was a perfectly solid night for him. Certainly a lot of the scoring was done late in the game, but I think even without that, made his presence known and looked like a guy who can hang for 10, 15 minutes, which is all you're hoping for out of a guy in his position.
By the way, speaking of lobs, now I'm not going to go back and check this because, quite frankly, I have no interest in ever rewatching any part of this game ever again in my life. But I swore in the first half, Tyrese had Kyle Lowry on a break. For a second, thought about throwing a lob and then realized who that was and thought, no way, no way. I swore I saw that.
Listen, I had the same reaction watching that sequence, so you are not alone. Maybe we just mind melded and we imagined that happening, but I saw it happening.
Only one game left before the break for Beauchamp to get some time on the floor, so we don't know how this game we talk about one carrying over to the other and giving you some confidence and all, but some practice time after the All-Star break, after potentially playing in 2 games with this group, Kyle, as you said, just the fact that they're not familiar with one another. Also, not knowing what's going on with Jabari Walker yet, if they need to go to him. You see that he has that athleticism, that he can play on the floor for a certain amount of minutes, can be a guy that can get out in the open floor, run in transition, and just be maybe a disruptor and make the extra connected passes that needs to be. The cutting, if he's out there with some of the guys that, making some really good passes, he has the athleticism that can at least get a strong finish at the rim, maybe he's up there long enough where he draws a foul, gets to the free throw line, just to do some things to impact and steal some minutes for Nick Nurse's squad while he's out there. So, yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with what he had. Like you said, he should have made that layup. And to your point, could have been a better pass, but that's why it was a layup and not a dunk, because you catch and you change your mind midair. I wish I could do that up there in the air, make a decision to do one or the other. But for him, got to make that layup. And the overall decent debut for him for what they needed tonight. He did his part. Unfortunately, we're not talking about it in a W. Just to ask about another guy, since I see some people talking about him, saying that he's better than this guy. Justin Edwards hit some shots early, and there's a lot of conversation about how he's better than Justin Edwards and all of that. Kyle, what did you make of the run? As you said, when I was trying to catch and remember some of the players in pregame, I'm like, who else is available tonight? I forgot about Justin Edwards until he came in the game. Justin Edwards, what did you think of what he did today?
I think when he's doing anything other than taking spot up threes or the occasional 1-2 dribble pull up, it's adventure is the nice word that we'll use for it. And look, I don't mind the offense because when you have them on a team with high volume stars, having a guy who's just a spot up closeout attack type guy is fine. You're not going to have every guy on the team be a dribble pass shoot threat. And so if he's just a shooting guy, fine. The other end of the floor is an absolute train wreck. And it's the reason that he's been unable to establish a more consistent role this year, because I think that's his path. He is not a good enough or consistent enough shooter that you can bring him in the game and say, boy, he's just going to kill a team on the other end. So even if he's bad defensively, we can leave him out there. He is maybe he goes, 2 for 6 type guy, 2 for 5 on a good night. And so you got to bring the hard hat and defend on the other end. He had a good game against Milwaukee on that front recently, but his propensity to commit just mind-numbing fouls on that end. 3 seconds left in a quarter, you're foul, or at the end of a shot clock, and he's fouling a jump shooter. But just a lot of fouls that are in that same Quentin Grimes, what the hell are you doing category. The difference being Quentin is a really consistent, I think, point of attack type defender who can also be a disruptor away from the ball. So Justin brings all the bad that Quentin brings with none of the good. And I think you could see the difference between having one guy in the rotation tonight versus the other.
Yeah, and it's not just like it's one thing, the fouls, which I feel like the Sixers have like 4 players who commit way too many fouls on jump shooters. But that more like showcases the decision making. Like there's so many times where he's closing out just completely not under control and gives up an open driving lane that it really cripples your defense. And he is like, theoretically, today was a fine Justin Edwards game, right? 12 points, 25 minutes, 3 of 5 shooting, perfect from deep, yada, yada, yada. 3 steals even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But his half-court defense and his ability to give up drives and really get you into rotations is just really showed up time and time again. And even when he has a decent statistical night, you're still left like, man, he really hurt you out there. And it's just, they had to use him. I think he might have even been, wasn't he the first guy off the bench, which really shows you how far down the Sixers are at this point in the road trip. You had to use him, but that's because you were really, really short. Like he's at if you were just ranking the most disappointing players of the season, he might take the cake.
Speaking of the steals, real quick, Devon, I thought anyone who got steals tonight in the box score, if someone didn't watch that game, they'd be like, oh man, nice defensive game. But having sat through that is like, these are maybe the fakest stats I've ever seen in my life.
And for Edwards, he had a breakaway dunk opportunity and he slowed up. And I was like, this is part of the problem because he did a really good job, leaked out. Tyrese Maxey found him. He was trying to do it. You could see as he was fouled, eventually got to the free throw line and made his free throws. He was winding up for, it looked like a windmill dunk. And he got fouled and, but it was like, what are you doing? You guys are playing well at this point. You're playing well. you're getting minutes, which you haven't really gotten lately. Just get a regular dunk. Just get the bucket and be done with it.
2 hands.
And instead, he wants to go out there and put, go for a windmill dunk. And while that didn't change the game, that is what you guys are talking about, though, when it comes with the Justin Edwards experience of how things are going with him. And I mentioned everybody in the chat was talking about him as we were discussing the unsung hero with Beauchamp. And Jack Reacher says, the combo is more about how terrible Justin Edwards is. He's also reluctant to fire on semi-contested threes. It's wide open or hesitate and pass for Justin Edwards. Jack Reacher, thank you. I saw it. Wanted to bring it up as part of the Beauchamp conversation because that's what the guys were talking about with Beauchamp and the activity, the athleticism, the wing skills that he has is exactly why I wanted to bring up Justin Edwards, because he is a guy that could maybe come in and surpass and steal some of those minutes that Nick Nurse may look to and decide, while Edwards has the shooting and the longevity here, Beauchamp may provide a little bit more skill-wise if, depending on situationally what Nick Nurse might want to do. He has another option to go to. Our Togo unsung hero, MarJon Beauchamp, in his debut in the Sixers uniform. He is our Togo unsung hero, presented by Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of your work. You call the plays. We execute at Togo. All right, let's take our next break. When we come back, we'll discuss the player of the game, and we'll talk about VJ Edgecombe and his night. He needs a break too. So we'll talk about those guys when we get back. Sixers lose 135-118. It's the PHLY Sixers postgame show.
And guys, next up, we want to tell you about Xfinity and their 5-year price guarantee. What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together, that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable, and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply. Guys, managing your money doesn't have to be a struggle this year. One of my financial goals for the year is saving up enough money for a down payment on a house. And we want to make sure that you can set yourself up for financial success. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. My favorite thing about Monarch is how well it shows you exactly where your money is going, so you can make educated decisions on how to manage your finances better. Monarch isn't your average personal finance app. It's built to make you proactive, not just reactive. Monarch gives you automated tracking and clear projections, so you can see that you're on your way to hitting that financial milestone. Monarch delivers real results for real people. Monarch helps users save over $200 per month on average after joining. Set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code PHLY at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY.
Back here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Kyle, I'm thinking about that chicken sandwich from Wawa. I'm a little hungry right now. On this,
Ooh, boy,
night.
that would hit right now.
Yes, it would. I could use that right now.
That new teriyaki, Devon. Ooh, man. Gotta get
I think
in
I'm
there
in.
for that.
I think I'm in on the new teriyaki sauce. I can't wait to give that a shot. All right, let's talk about the player of the game, Bree, and let everybody know who that was, even though, as Kyle said, because of how things played out, probably would have gone with MarJon Beauchamp in this one, but Tyrese Maxey did finish with 32 made threes, 4 assists, perfect from the free throw line on 8 attempts. And with the steals, he only finished with 1 on the night. Played 32 minutes and 27 seconds. As you guys mentioned in the pregame show, you wanted to see him finish in a number in the 30s. But with the game so wide, blown out the way that it was in the third quarter, Kyle, really wasn't much of a reason for him to continue to be out there, even shorthanded as they were. He played through 3 quarters, a total of 26 minutes and 36 seconds. So in the fourth, that means he played 5:51. They really didn't have a chance to come back in this one. I understand it maybe for like the first 2-3 minutes, but not even that. He finished with 30. Didn't need to play the fourth quarter at all. As you pointed out, let the young guys, let all those other ones play, and just get ready for New York on Wednesday. What did you think of how he played tonight overall? Put up the numbers, but wasn't enough.
I hated that game. Well, I shouldn't say that. I thought the first quarter, plenty of good stuff from there. It was a lot of downhill, get to the rim, hit the floaters. They collapse on you, make some passes around the perimeter, hit your drop off.
He took 10 shots
targets
in the first quarter.
Yeah, like came out firing, and they needed him to. Like, this is a night where if he had gone like 10 for 35 or something insane, I would have looked at it as, well, I don't know what else you want him to do in this situation where he's got so little help out there tonight. But I was insanely disappointed by that third quarter. And it's not because I blame him entirely for what happened, but I think as the leader of the team, what he did and how he carried himself in the first half of that quarter bled into everything they did, right? So he doesn't get some calls. I think maybe there was one, maybe there was two that went against him where he thought he should have gotten a foul. And I get it. You're frustrated. You're the only star available. It's the end of a road trip. Game slipping away from you. But he got into pouting, feel sorry for yourself, yell at the refs mode. And as we talk about the transition defense or lack thereof for the Sixers, part of the reason that Toumani Camara and some of these other guys are getting open threes on the break is because the Sixers are effectively playing 4-on-5 in transition with Maxey yelling at the refs. Then you're probably playing more like 3-on-5 because Andre Drummond is not an asset in transition defense. It's not really his fault. You don't expect him to be, but you're down numbers already. And with the other guys looking to him as a leader and the best guy on the team, he made it very clear, like, I'm over this game. I'm over this performance. I'm over the road trip. I'm ready to be home. And so as we talked about, Toumani, you opened the show up with, they're thinking about that flight back to Philadelphia. And so he's not responsible for the fact that Joel Embiid, Dominck Barlow, Quentin Grimes didn't play. And Paul George, add him to the list. He's just like out of sight, out of mind at this point. And I'm not going to pile on him because it's just kind of silly when it's this kind of circumstance. They're clearly tired. They clearly all let go of the rope at once. But it is your responsibility as the leader to try to rally the troops, so to speak. And I just thought he completely lost his head in that third quarter, and the rest of the guys followed him. So while I would agree with him being player of the game purely because nobody else really could be, no one played well, I was pretty disappointed by how that second half played out for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, so much went wrong. He was a part of that defensively as well, part of those breakdowns. And part of that is, like, he does cost them in transition defense. He'll make some incredible plays in transition. I'm thinking about that DeAnthony Melton, or that block on DeAnthony Melton specifically, but he has had a number of them. But he will just as often, if not more often, take himself out of the play because he is complaining about a lack of no call, or just quite frankly because he's on the ground after a tough drive where he should have probably gotten a call. But also, like, his matchups in transition are oftentimes not great. There's still some miscommunications when he's involved in that. And he just defensively was not near the top of his game tonight, and nobody was. But he is sort of like that leader of the team. He is the one that people are going to follow. And when he has an off night like that, in terms of his, not an off night so much in terms of shooting or offensive performance, but an off night in terms of attention to detail and focus, it does bleed into the rest of the team a little bit. And, heavy is the head that wears the crown. We've been talking about that with Embiid for so many years. When Maxey is, the guy who's consistently available night to night, that falls on him a lot now as well. The shooting stuff, I don't even really care about too much. Like 2 for 9 when he's getting hounded like he is on the perimeter because nobody else is on the floor who can really dribble or score. Like, that's going to happen. If you want him back shooting well, that's going to happen when Embiid's on the floor alongside of him. It's really the defense, the attention detail, getting back, communication, and that all just broke down. And he was a part of that in the third. But look, he had moments, like especially in the first half, getting to the rim when your perimeter shots not falling. I thought he did a great job getting the rim. I thought he got the line at times as well. But the defense is really where I thought he and quite frankly the rest of the team let them down.
So let's talk about his backcourt meet. VJ Edgecombe. Kyle,
boy, do we have to? Because that was a stink bomb. Oh my God!
You said you wanted. He finished in double figures in terms of double digits. Pardon me. In terms of field goal attempts, they were only 13 and 1 for 6 from behind the 3-point line. So not as aggressive as you would have liked to have seen as far as getting the shots, helping out Tyrese Maxey in that regard. And while he finished the night with 11 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 block shots, you still would have wanted him to take on more of the offensive responsibility to help out within the flow of the game.
Well, yeah, well, we can call it what it is, right? Some of it is that he's having to go against Drew Holiday. And when you don't have a tight handle against Drew Holiday, he's going to eat you alive. That is not somebody that you can just like dangle the ball out in front of. He's very, very strong. Like I've heard multiple NBA friends of ours call him a tank. They refer to Drew Holiday as a tank, independent of one another. That's the type of guy he is. Like, you are not going through him, and so you need to go around him. But going around him requires being tight with the handle. And VJ, for whatever his gifts are, is not a guy with an advanced handle right now. It's why he's got to make a good amount of his money in transition, as a second side guy, things like that. Spot up shooter, certainly. And when the shot is as poor as it was tonight, what'd you say it was? 1 for 6, 1 for 7, Devon?
1 for 6 from 3.
1 for 6. So that's why I agree. I'll circle back on what Derek said. I don't really mind the 2 for 9 from 3 for Maxey, because when they did pressure him and he got off the ball, a lot of times it was VJ open shot and VJ's missing those shots. And like, sometimes there's only so much you can do. You, at a certain point, Maxey's like, okay, nobody's making shots, nobody's doing much of anything. I'm going to have to call my number a few times, even if I'm, not shooting well and in a bad shooting run here to start the year in general. So I can live with that. But yeah, the lack of help and support from VJ is a big reason you end up in this hole. Like, there's no real secondary creation on the floor for them tonight as a result of that. Watford had some moments, but a lot of his best moments were post mismatches where it's like him against a guard or somebody that he's got a little bit of a weight advantage against, and he's able to, hit some flip shots and use the footwork and things like that. That is not helping you with what the problem was, which was you couldn't beat them as cleanly and as consistently as you needed to on the perimeter. So you're not putting them in rotation. You're not generating enough threes. You don't have Joel on the floor, so you're not able to, absorb the double and then play that type of offense where you're getting open threes out of that. So, yeah, that was a really disappointing VJ game. And I mentioned the one turnover. Like, the turnovers tonight were pretty ugly. We've credited him for a lot of this season of being a rookie who's ahead of the curve in terms of taking care of the basketball, growing as a playmaker, et cetera, et cetera. He was making very basic mistakes out there tonight, like the inability to make a pretty basic entry pass to Beauchamp against the zone in the middle of the floor is one of them. Just a really bad game from him, but it happens.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure I have too much else to add, but some of those threes where he barely grazed the front of the rim on pretty wide open catch and shoot threes, like, you're just, especially when you're talking about having, Watford and Drummond and even, Kelly shooting the ball well. But when you have two complete non-shooters like that, like, you've got to make use of that space, or they're just going to keep coming and giving you, getting Tyrese 2 at the ball and leaving you, and they just never stop.
All right, final break, everybody. When we come back, we'll wrap up the show, get your super chats in, last thoughts on the game. Just to let everybody know, I see some people starting to sign off. We do have one more segment, but we're back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. For one of 3 p.m. shows this week. So we'll see you tomorrow. For the ones who are signing off, it is late. You got to get some rest, get up for work, and get the kids ready and all that. We will see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. on the PHLY Sixers podcast. For everybody else that's hanging around with us, yes, W.R. Ferguson, one more segment when we get back. Super chats, finishing up with our thoughts of the game right here as the Sixers get blown out 135-118 to the Portland Trailblazers. We'll be back. We are officially into the new year, and it's time to make your homes work smarter, not harder. With a TrueMark Financial Home Equity Line of Credit, you can tap into your home's equity to handle renovations, upgrades, or whatever is next on your list. A TrueMark Financial HELOC Select gives you the flexibility to borrow when you need it on your timeline. You start with a revolving line of credit, use only what you need, and when you are ready, you can lock in all or part of your balance at a fixed rate for predictable payments. You only pay interest on what you use, and as you pay it back, that credit becomes available again, no reapplying, no extra steps. Learn more about TrueMark Financial's home equity line of credit at TrueMark.com or stop by one of their 24 branches located to get started. That's locations, everybody. TrueMark Financial is federally insured by the NCUA and is an equal opportunity lender, NMLS 404938.
Guys, everybody comes into the new year with big resolutions, especially with cooking and eating. But if you don't have the time to cook and you want to eat healthy, Factor Meals makes it easy with fully prepped meals designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. So you can eat well without the shopping, without the cooking. Here's one of the best parts too. The meals are ready in 2 minutes. That's crazy. I know it sounds impossible, but Factor makes it possible. You also get quality functional ingredients, including lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners. Also, a lot of variety, 100 rotating weekly meals, high protein, calorie smart, Mediterranean diet, GLP-1 support, and more. No prep, no stress, always fresh, never frozen. That's Factor. Head to factormeals.com/PHLY50 off. Use the code PHLY50 off to get 50% off of your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Make healthier eating easy with Factor.
We're back right here on the PHLY Sixers post-game show. Let's get to some of your super chats in here. We have a few more super chats that we want to run through here from Davon, a.k.a. Schoolboy Beats, and Bernard. Let's start with Bernard saying, I'm glad that Embiid is back, but to praise someone who is going to play 50 of the 82 games is crazy. So tired of games like this. We need more from him. That's from Bernard.
I mean, Kyle mentioned it during the pregame show. Like, this is the first non-back-to-back he's missed in how long, Kyle?
Since December 28th.
Yeah, you're getting the most you can expect out of Joel Embiid after 2 meniscus surgeries in his left knee. Like, it sucks because today sucked, but...
Yeah. I also will say, once again, this is an offshoot of a conversation we've had many times. If Maxey is the guy, I get, like, them not winning this game and Maxey not having his greatest game he's ever played, fine, whatever. But it's always Joel's fault when he does play. It's always Joel's fault when he doesn't play. Like, it can't just be all Joel all the time. There has to be a world where someone else can be responsible for what is happening on the floor. And that's a lot of people. That's coaches, that's players, that's who management puts on the roster, which I think we're going to get to with some of Davon's super chats. It's a collective effort. It is never just down to one guy. But also, this reveals that some people, I think, still believe that Joel's the best player on the team, because that's the sort of thing you say about the best player on the team. If he's not out there, you don't win. If he's out on the floor and they lose, it's his fault. Maxey's the all-star starter. He has to hit a high bar. I don't blame him for it tonight, but it was not good enough. It is what it is. We don't have to sit here and have the Joel argument 100 times.
And as good as the trip is and was 3-2, you take it. you also would have liked to at least taken one more. And we know we go back to the Lakers game because they were leading and how things went in the second half. Once again, Austin Reeves going off for 35 overall. You bring up the Joel Embiid part. Maybe things are a little different too if Paul George is available and he's not suspended.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, so when you talk about people taking accountability for they're out there on the floor, they're available. Paul George is now 19 games left on the suspension because he's not able to play. This is not injury related, none of that. This is all because he's suspended for, violating the league policy. So, yeah, Davon, I'm sorry.
That's a great point, Devon, because I have a lot more sympathy for the trickiness of managing Joel's knees than I do for a guy who's 35, 36 years old and just can't follow the NBA's drug policy. Like that's just a stupid error that is impacting the team every single day until late March.
19 more games. 19 more games. So I'm sure we'll keep track of the record of what their record is in the games that he misses during those 25 games to see how impactful they'll be. Davon says shorthanded versus bigger athletic guys. And Nurse plays Lowry. Just play Bassey and Beauchamp because Kyle shouldn't be playing anywhere but the local YMCA.
I mean, I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of argument from anyone on this panel.
Yeah. We didn't like the Lowry thing from the moment that it happened, I don't think. We understood it and we did all the veteran mentor, blah, blah, blah. But when you're in this spot, ugh, yuck.
And look, there's another question coming.
Real fast, here's why I'll say the 7:23 that he played in the first half where the game meant something. Like Kyle, you said it. He didn't do anything wrong. He was actually a +8 when he was out there on the floor in the first half. It's just he tried to steal some minutes. He got 7 minutes out of him. It worked out fine. And later on, though, when things got out of hand and they were still trying to forge a comeback, maybe that was the wrong way to go later on in that game. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Derek.
No, I mean, look, there's another question coming up about what are they going to do with the final roster spots? And they don't have a whole lot of space left under the tax. And part of the reason they don't have a lot of space left under the tax is because they're just burning a roster spot on Kyle Lowry. It would be great to have somebody who could not just not kill you, but actually maybe help you when you're this short-handed.
I hear you. Kennedy Chandler is going to be in the All-Star weekend, with the blue coat. He gave you like 10 minutes of dribbling the basketball. Devon says, assuming Walker isn't playing.
The guard conversation is going to kill me until they fill out the roster. Please no more little guards.
Here's the question. I'm just because I was thinking about their roster and they don't have any big guards on the Blue Coast that you would even bother the 10-day contract to. Assuming Walker isn't playing because of the tax, they will wait till the last minute to convert to save money, or Derek, if they strike out on the buyout market.
Yeah, I think that probably what's going to happen, and I think Schoolboy has his finger on the pulse here. They have about $1.6 million in space under the tax after converting Barlow. And converting Barlow to a pretty big deal, by the way. They gave him $3.4 million in each of this year and next year. That's well above the minimum. They have about $1.6 million in space under the tax. Rest of the season, I think, is about $850,000. So right now, you cannot sign two of them. If you sign one guy on a buyout in like a week, and then you convert Barlow in like probably about a week, I think you can fit both of them under, assuming Walker, that the buyout. Yeah, convert Walker around the same time. I think you can fit both of them under the tax, assuming that the buyout is a prorated rest of the season minimum. So yeah, I think they're probably trying to find a way where they can convert, because they have 2 10-day contracts right now. Convert Walker, sign a buyout, keep Josh Harris as much helicopter fuel as he can have. I think they're probably waiting to find a way to do
that. W. Ferguson says, what is Mac McClung doing these days? He's actually with the Chicago Bulls.
He's dunking.
We also have a super chat from our guy, W.R. Ferguson. says, are the Sixers going to try and rest Embiid one game a series in the playoffs? Is that the plan? Or are they expecting him to try to play every game? I have not heard anything to suggest that they would rest him in the playoffs unless he is genuinely hurt. I can't imagine that that's the plan.
Yeah.
No. Even if they were up 2-0, you still play him because you want to put a stranglehold on the series. So can't rest him.
No, and there are no back-to-backs in the playoffs. And like Kyle mentioned, it's been now a month, 5-6 weeks since Embiid rested on a non-back-to-back. When we get to the playoffs, if he's healthy, he's playing.
Yeah, I am curious what Nurse said tonight after the game in Portland about the Joel stuff because he was a late scratch. Presumably he was asked about it. We'll see if he plays Wednesday. But I don't want to speculate or add any fuel to a fire here regarding Joel because frankly I don't know why he did or why he didn't play tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you for the super chat. And we really appreciate everybody sending those in from W.R. Ferguson, Davon, and Bernard as well. We really appreciate the super chats. And we thank everybody for hanging out with us this entire trip. I believe 5 games in 10 days, something like that for the guys. And 3-2. We thought it would be a little bit better based on how things played out, including going into tonight after the nice win on Saturday. There's a possibility of winning this one, but no Embiid, Barlow, or Grimes. You're down, guys, and it was really a tough go. Not off the hook, but still a winning record on this 5-game West Coast trip, which was not looked to be an easy one. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. in studio. Have a 3 p.m. show to talk about a lot of this.
Talk about a quick turnaround. Oof, I might be awake for that one.
Talk about a lot of this, kind of looking ahead a little bit to the final game against the New York Knicks. And the All-Star break as well.
The show.
It's quite all right, man. Quite all right. Well, we do have one last super chat, Bree. Davon with another one. These ducking the tactics is exactly why these Maxey-only games look like they're either you have to hit home runs on draft picks, not broom, or minimums.
Schoolboy's trying to get me going here at 1:38 in the morning, and I'm not going to fall for that bait.
I need number one, I got to buy a Stream Deck, and then on that Stream Deck, I need to put a duck button that just quacks every time duck comes up on.
I've got a board right here. I keep saying I'm gonna put a button on there for it. I never have.
Duck button.
Yeah.
The quack. There you go.
Look. I know there is Jack Reacher mentioning that 2/3 of the league ducked the tax this year. That is true. Like most teams do try to get under the luxury tax, but most teams don't do that 4 years in the middle of a Joel Embiid MVP run when you're desperate to try to win, trying to salvage this era, given a second lease on life because he's playing so well, and you've done it 4 years in a row, and because of that, you're not playing the margins at all. Like it is I'm just asking Josh to show that it seems like he cares and he'll make an irrational decision to try to eke out a little bit of help on the final leg of this Joel Embiid era, and he just won't do it. He just won't.
Well said. And I'll also say, we're not ducking anything. We're going into overtime, everybody, here for the world famous roll call. So Derek can really say what he wants to say. Head on over to allphly.com for the roll call. And for the remainder of the show, we'll see you tomorrow on the television side at 3 p.m. All right, let's get to it. It's the world famous. It's the roll call.
Guys, thank you. The people who are still here with us at this point, you are the realest of the real ones. After that game, nice round of applause.
I've got buttons. I just don't have a freaking duck button, which I can't believe I've let that. Anyway,
you got to get on that.
Anybody
who's still here and watch this post-game show tonight, it's 1:40 in the morning on the East Coast. I know we have a few West Coasters in the chat, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. I can't even describe how much it means to have people who are so committed to this show to be chilling with us at this time of night after that level of disgraceful crappy Sixers performance. You guys are the best. So thank you to Sean Sharp, to Joe Caparol, to Schoolboy with the super chats, our guy Eugene Ross,
What up,
Arizona
Gene?
Ron checking in, SSG Base, Billberry Fiends, YOLO
Billberry.
8948, Skates
Billberry.
31, WR Ferguson hanging out with us.
Yes.
Thank you to
in
Corey
Arizona.
Norris. Thank you to Nona. Thank you to Mom's Grandchildren. Bernard McCoy with a super chat. Lost Sleep TV, 76ers TTP. Marcus Blackstock,
What
Theo,
up, Mark?
X-Man, Sir Shmooey, Jay of the Jungle, Smy Guy, Jack Reacher,
Smoggy.
Phil W.
Philly Phil.
Love you guys, man. Thank you guys for being here and hanging out with us. I hope you'll be with us again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern so we can talk about God knows what, because I sure haven't thought of that at almost 2 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. It was, other than this game, a really fun road trip. Like, I think they showed us some things. The only thing I ask is that they don't think about the All-Star break in the middle of the Knicks game on Wednesday. It is the toughest game maybe of the season in terms of mentality, where you just don't know how engaged or not these guys will be on any team. So prayers up that we get a good version of the pre-All-Star performance. Thank you also to Rick Morse, to Rick Sachs, Mr. Midrange, checking in here at the end. If there's anybody I missed, please sound off at the end as I do this here, because
And apologies.
you deserve it.
1:40 in the morning.
You deserve it, but it is hard to scroll while doing the show. Thank you to Music Lover is always in here. I hope he's
Play that
asleep. I hope
music.
all of you are.
Yeah.
I hope most of you are asleep at this point. Guys, on the way out, thumbs up button as always. Mostly to say thank you to super producer Bree, who has to be up listening to us and making this show go this late. She's the GOAT. She's the MVP. She is our player of the game. We should have made a graphic with Bree as the player of the game tonight, because she
Except
deserves it.
I don't know how to do that.
I was going to say, got to learn some Photoshop skills.
Yeah.
Anyway, on the way out, thumbs up button, but also hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notifications each and every time we go live. We'll be back 3 p.m. Eastern for a afternoon show with everybody. Until then, stay safe. Take care. Goodbye.
See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.